monster of evil on us and all over the world. And her claim that my opposition to radical Islamic terrorism is this was something she said today, that it's my strong opposition to these people. That's a recruiting tool, and it demonstrates a level of ignorance about the terror threat and its motivations. Now, let me just tell you, she is not the right person to solve a problem that largely her and Obama gave us. That Obama gave us. It disqualifies her from being a credible presidential candidate, in my opinion. What do I know? In my opinion, does everybody agree with me or not? That's all we need is 4 more years of Obama, except worse. And I will say this, you see that in the polls, you see it all over, you see it outside. She has very, very, very low levels of enthusiasm. I think a lot of people are not going to bother and go to the polls to vote for her, but I know that our people, and this is also in the polls, the highest level of enthusiasm that they've seen. We're going to vote. Obama, Clinton have been silent about Islamic terrorism for many years. That's not lessened the recruiting, but it's increased it. That's what's really happened. It's increased. It's weakness invites aggression. We're weak. Weakness invites aggression. And silence in the face of a brutal enemy, and they have become brutal because we've allowed them to become brutal. It allows it to spread, and that's what's happening all over the world. Now, has anyone ever heard the snake that I read every once in a while? I can do it if you'd like. Should I do it or not? Should I? Because to me, this was written by Al Wilson in the 1990s, and I heard it and I said, boy, that's exactly what's going on here. The snake, because people are coming across our border, people are coming in and brought into our country. We are going to make potentially the Trojan horse look like something that's very unimportant by comparison. And we don't want to be the ones that in 200 years from now they're reading about allowing something else into our country with a different name than the Trojan horse, but had the same impact. So this is called the snake, and this has to do with people coming into our country, and I think you'll enjoy it. Let's see. And more important than enjoy, I think it'll make a point. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Oh, well," she cried, "I'll take you in, like we're doing, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman," sighed the broken snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman," sighed the broken snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you certainly might have died." Now she stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." It's amazing. Gonna happen unless we get very, very, very smart. Oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna build a wall. Don't worry about it. We're gonna build a wall. Don't worry about it. We're gonna build a wall, and Mexico's gonna pay for the wall, and we're gonna make great trade deals, and lots of good things are gonna happen. Don't worry about it. So ISIS is torturing, murdering, executing, and exterminating people in a campaign of genocide. And what is Hillary Clinton's suggestion? That we should censor our vocabulary and never say these certain words. Refusing to say the words radical Islam has not saved a single life and never will. Our president doesn't say the words, and look what's happening here and all over the world. They refuse to say the words, "We're presiding over something that the world has not seen. The level of evil is unbelievable." When we went to high school and we went to college, we'd study medieval times. That's when they chopped off heads. Well, we're in medieval times. That's what we are. They chop off heads. They drown people in steel cages. They bury people in the sand. We've never seen anything like that. I was against going into the war in Iraq, but we got out the wrong way. President Obama did a terrible thing the way he got us out of the war. And by the way, and somebody was telling me, a great expert this weekend, Iraq has essentially been taken over by Iran. All of those lives, all of that money, trillions and trillions of dollars, what have we got? And then on top of it, he got us out the wrong way, and ISIS formed. Great job, President Obama. Great job. Great job. Just like we named our enemy in the Cold War, so too must we name our enemy today. Clinton's comments might not fit the far left think tanks, but they have no place for someone seeking a job as commander-in-chief. They aren't just naive, but reckless, and they're beneath the high standards of the office that she is seeking. The White House says it's just a war of narratives. Imagine telling that to the thousands of people murdered by this sadistic, evil enemy. This is the so-called leadership that's turned ISIS loose on the world and flung our borders wide open, wide open. It's time for tough borders. It's time for common sense. It's time to do things right. We have to put America first. We have to put America first. Obama and Clinton have toppled regimes, displaced millions of people, then opened the door to ISIS to enter our country. This is a not too smart policy. This will go down, when people look at this in the years ahead, as among the worst foreign policy decisions ever made by any country at any time. We have opened the world to ISIS, and now we have to close those doors. Hillary Clinton's decisions overseas have left us with the threat we face today, and her immigration policies will invite this threat onto our shores, and it's already happening. We must stop the massive inflow of refugees, which Hillary Clinton is trying to dramatically increase. Far more than we're taking in now. She wants it dramatically increased. You almost say, is this possible? You almost say, can this even be happening, especially in light of what's going on all over the world? We should temporarily suspend immigration entirely from regions where safe and adequate screening cannot occur. My policy will benefit the millions of wonderful immigrants living here and the wonderful immigrants coming in to our country in the future, because all good and decent, loving people want to live in a good and decent, loving country. Let me emphasize this point. The pro-immigrant position is the position that favors tough screening and tight controls. And we want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally through a process, and we need extreme screening. All immigrants benefit when we keep out those who do not truly wish to join our society. Immigrants benefit economically in terms of less job competition, and they benefit in terms of safety when we control future admissions into our nation. We want to take care and protect all of our people, including our great law-abiding, American-loving immigrants. No one has a right to immigrate to this country. It is the job of a responsible government to admit only those who expect to succeed and flourish here and really be proud of what they've done and where they came from. And they have to love our country. They have to love us. What amazing people. You know, Florida, I think we're going to win by a lot. We're going to win by a lot. I can say this. When Hillary comes in, she has very small crowds. That I can tell you. And I hope the press is covering the size of this arena and the crowd here and the thousands that are outside. Which they're not. Which they're not. Pew polling shows that in many of the countries from which we draw large numbers of immigrants, extreme views about religion, such as the death penalty for those who leave the faith, are commonplace. For instance, according to Pew, a majority of Afghanistan and Iraq, the people in Afghanistan and Iraq, say honor killings of women are often justified. We've admitted around 100,000 from these countries over the last short period of time. And this thug today, they think, came through Afghanistan. What kind of screening procedures were performed? These were difficult subjects, but they must be discussed by all responsible leaders. We have an obligation to discuss them and to come up with the right solution. This is the kind of thing we need to have an honest conversation about. When devising screening methods, they have to be good screening methods. They have to be methods that work. And unless we have those methods, sorry folks, you can't come into the country. Sorry. Just look at the San Bernardino horrible shooting and the female shooter who came on a fiancé visa from Saudi Arabia. Defeating this threat will also require the best intelligence gathering in the world. By the way, the detainees being released from Gitmo are returning to the battlefield. You're hearing about that, right? Let them go, and then they return to the battlefield, and everybody's surprised. Is anybody in this room surprised that many of those detainees are returning to the battlefield, and some immediately? We also need the best protection of classified information. That is the worst situation. Hillary's private email scandal, which put our classified information in the reach of our enemies, disqualifies her from the presidency. Totally. Then she covered up her criminal acts by mass deleting her emails. How about she gets a subpoena from the United States Congress, and after she gets the subpoena, she deletes 33,000 emails plus, and everything's just fine. What is going on? And not only did she delete them, but she bleached them, something that most people have never even heard about. And she destroyed her phones, many the old-fashioned way, with a hammer. Did anyone ever hear of this before? This is beneath the dignity of the Oval Office. Our next president must also stand up for America and promote American values. Do you all remember President Obama's apology tour? He apologized for the United States. We're sorry. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. His naive words were followed by even more naive actions. The failure to establish a new status of forces agreement in Iraq and the election-driven timetable for withdrawal, a disaster, surrendered our gains in that country and led directly to the rise of ISIS. I oppose going into Iraq, unlike Hillary Clinton, and I oppose the reckless way Obama, Clinton left Iraq. The failures in Iraq were compounded by Hillary Clinton's disaster in Libya. President Obama has since said he regrets Libya as his worst mistake, and you wouldn't know to watch him. But I believe that if you could go back years and he had the decision whether or not to make her Secretary of State, he can never admit this, and I never expect him to, although maybe if he gets a lot of money for a book, but he would choose not to make her Secretary of State. That's what I think, because she was a disaster. She's the one who pushed for the war with one episode of bad judgment after another. And remember, Bernie Sanders, during the debates, said on numerous occasions that Hillary Clinton suffers from bad judgment. She does. So that bad judgment was just a disaster, and we have now the situation that we have, lots of problems all over the world, and yes, ISIS has been launched, and launched fully. Yet as she threw the Middle East into violent turmoil, things turned out very well for her. The Clintons made $60 million in gross income while she was Secretary of State. Enough is enough. It's time to break with the corruption, the bad judgment, and the failures. It's time to have a new and great American future. We're going to change our immigration system to reflect American values. Remember, American values. We're going to stop the reckless and costly policy of regime change overseas and instead focus on working in partnership with our allies on a military campaign to utterly destroy ISIS. We have no choice. This effort will require military warfare, but also financial warfare, cyber warfare, and even ideological warfare. We have to beat them at their own game. They're playing the game much better than we are. And youth is going for their version, not our version. Our goal is not to build democracies. Our goal is to defeat. We want to defeat our enemies. And then we want to get back to rebuilding our country. Our country's a mess. Our infrastructure's a disaster. We owe, right now, almost $20 trillion. And our country's in trouble. Enough endless war. It's time to have a real plan for victory. But to win this struggle, we need to be strong at home. My economic plan can be summed up in 3 very simple words: jobs, jobs, jobs. I am going to massively lower your taxes. That's businesses and that's middle income, that's everybody. I'm going to get rid of the vast amounts of unnecessary regulations on your businesses and in your life. It's horrible. I'm going to repeal and replace Obamacare. It's a disaster. I'm going to unleash American energy. Unleash American energy. And wait till you see what happens. We'll start paying down our debt. So many things can happen, and even your electric bill will be a lot less, I hope. If we do it properly, I know. I'm going to appoint justices to the Supreme Court who will follow the Constitution. I'm going to rebuild our depleted military and take care of our veterans. I'm going to renegotiate our disastrous trade deals, and they are indeed a disaster. I'm going to put American workers first and fix our rigged system. It's a rigged system, folks. We will rebuild our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, highways, airports, schools, and hospitals. American cars will travel the roads. American planes will soar the skies, and American ships will patrol the seas. American steel will send new skyscrapers into the clouds. American hands will rebuild our nation. American hands. And American energy, mined from American sources, will power this nation. American workers will be hired to do the job. We will put new American steel into the spine of our country. I will fight for every neglected part of this nation, and I will fight to bring us together as one American people. Imagine what our country could accomplish if we started working together as one people, under one God, saluting one American flag. It's time to break with the bitter failures of the past and to embrace a new, inclusive, and prosperous American future. A future of success, togetherness, and unity. A future of fixing our inner cities and our African American areas of this country that have been treated so badly. Our inner cities are a horror. No jobs, no safety, education is the worst. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. You've been hearing that for years and years by the Democrats who have run the inner cities for, in some cases, more than 100 years straight. We're going to fix our inner cities, and I'm going to get tremendous votes from the African American community. And we're going to get tremendous votes from the Hispanic community. We're going to bring jobs back to our country. We're going to bring jobs back to our country. And once more, we're going to have a government of, by, and for the people. We will make America, and some people don't like this because it doesn't sound right, wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you.